are you doing?
Good, how are you doing, Nick?
Doing good. Just wanted to get your thoughts. You now seems like you're now the face of the franchise now, especially from the marketing standpoint and everything like that. How much has your role changed with the departure of Candace Parker and Chelsea Gray?
I don't really like to consider myself as the face of anything really, because it takes more than one person to win. But of course in media, that can be the buzz and conversation with all the changes that we experienced in free agency. We have a lot of new faces. We have a lot of familiar faces on our team now too. We have plenty of championship experience with the veterans that are on our team, and we have a lot of young players who have years behind them and know what this level takes, and we have really hungry rookies as well. So I have to say that the energy is really fresh, of course, but I think it's also it's a competitive environment that we're in right now, and we really want to be there and stay there and contribute that to also having a lot of fun.
Miriam Swanson, LA Daily News.
Hey, good morning, Nneka.
Morning.
Wanted to ask you about 144, Shanae's documentary, and she mentioned that she got you to where it'd be mic'd up for different points during the bubble. Wondered how those conversations went, and if you've seen it and what you think.
Yeah, so I definitely have to say that it's going to be exciting for people to see, what we were able to capture in there. It's funny because I remember the conversation that I had with Shanae when I got to the bubble. I was like, see, someone needs to be in here videotaping this. Like, it has to be documented. And she was just like, say less. And she had a crew in there in a matter of days. And throughout my time in there, of course, I got to know the crew a lot, and I was mic'd up for much of what wasn't happening on the court. And we had some really special moments in there that were captured in the film. And Shanae's really this has been a big project for her. I was asking her last night if she would ever executive produce again. She said she would. So I'm really excited for you guys to see what it looks like. There's still some finishing touches being put on it, but the amount of progress we were able to make and for it to be depicted in that story to be told, it's really amazing, and I can't wait for everyone to see it.
Go over to Rashad Haylock with Spectrum Sportsnet and KTLA.
Hey, Nneka.
Hi.
As one of the leaders on this team, how do you handle, sort of the outside noise? The naysayers. People that have already counted you out before even game one.
Who's saying that?
It's been written about the roster and how this team has lost a lot in terms of with Chelsea and Candace leaving, and how do you sort of respond to that?
Obviously, I don't know what you're talking about, so that's my response. Like, I don't know what the naysayers are saying because I don't pay attention to that. And I try to encourage my teammates to do the same. Honestly, I can't answer your question because this is news to me.
We'll go over to Erica Ayala with The Athletic.
Hey, Nneka, I appreciate your time today. I have one question that I'd like to ask you about this roster, and then if you'll indulge me, one for Sports Illustrated. We're doing a WNBA 25 piece. For this roster, it's been said by Amanda Zawi a few times that she's really looking forward to working with you and being able to master a few things in her game that she thinks will elevate her to the next level in the WNBA. What have been some of your interactions with Zawi, and how do you see her fitting into this LA Sparks team?
She brings a lot of personality to the team, and I think that's something that we always love to have. I definitely think as a Spark in my 10 years, personality is something that we've never tried to diminish in players coming, and we love that. She's very comfortable in her own skin and her own capabilities, and she wants to get better. So that's been much of my interaction with her. I love that I can learn from her. I don't limit myself to learning from players with more experience than me. I try to learn from everybody, and I can see her being a teammate like that. And quite frankly, Our strongest memories of Zoe B as LA Sparks is her dropping 30 plus on us on a couple of occasions. So I'm happy to have that be on our side now.
Yeah, she's already put media on notice that she's happy to return the favor to New York. So. And seems like she likes being a sparkle, as she says, which I love. The other question, as I mentioned, is you and your sister have a unique circumstance as both being #1 draft picks from the same household. I am just curious what you remember first of your draft experience, and then what was that like to see Chiney's experience?
What's funny is I actually remember Chiney's experience more than mine because it's not oftentimes you get to go through that twice. So the second time around, I was really immersed in it. What I remember most about my draft experience was that it was on my mom's birthday. So I was happy to give her a really great birthday present. And I was just really excited to start that new chapter of my life. And quite frankly, you know, I'm a Texas Californian. You know, I've been in California since I was 18. And so LA just felt so natural for me, and it's been home since, and I plan to keep it that way. So that was really my experience with me being drafted. And then Chiney's, of course, was a lot more excitement and just kind of like in the moment type of feelings, because we were all so new in my first experience. So when Chiney was able to get drafted as well, it was really amazing for her to see it through her own eyes, and also to get drafted in the market directly in which the draft was being held. I think that was also really special for her too. But I'm glad to say that since then she's ended up in LA.
Thanks, Erica. We have time for one more with Nneka today. We'll go to Michelle Lobo with ESPN.
Hey, Nneka. I'm wondering, I know this is so early to ask this question, but with sort of a different look with the Sparks this year, what comes to mind to you as being like maybe one or two of the biggest strengths this team is going to have this season?
Yeah. Hey, Michelle. Nice to talk to you again. I'd have to say that our biggest strengths are definitely going to be our room to grow and to absorb with the range of players that we have on this team. And I think with that, if we're speaking, you know, just strictly ball, I think our speed is going to be something that really contributes to how we play and how we play well. So I look forward to seeing how much more room we have to grow, whether it's learning through the system that Fish has us in or through our vets, and even adapting to how our now younger players play. And that being shown in the speed at which we do play and defend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Nneka. We'll have Stephanie Watts up next.
Bye, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, all right, we'll get started. Questions for Stephanie Watts. We will start with Amanda Skurlock of the LA Sentinel.
Hey, Stephanie. I know you were only with SC a year. I was wondering, what were some major lessons that you learned, especially like going through, like dealing with an injury during that season? What were some lessons you learned?
Through college or my year at SC?
Just your year at SC.
Just how to deal with adversity. I'm someone who's been through injuries, so that being, I just feel as though I can bounce back from anything. That was my second injury when I had gotten to SC, so I had thought I was finishing out my year, my last year of college, so really just how to beat adversity and bounce back from whatever is thrown my way.
Over to Chris Camello with Nightcast Media.
Hey, Stephanie. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you, Christopher?
I'm doing well, thank you. I just wanted to know, with all of the guards, a lot of experience that you have, has it been very competitive, or are you also trying to soak up everything like a sponge, or a combination of both? What's been kind of your mindset through these first 4 or 5 days of training camp amidst all the great guards that you've been able to play with so far?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like just blessed to have this opportunity to learn from the people here. Yeah, it's competitive every day. We're going at each other every day, but I think that's a part of the learning experience. I mean, I get to learn from Erica Wheeler, Christy Tolliver, Nneka. Like this is, it's been a blessing to be able to soak up as much as I can, but then also going at each other. KT makes everyone on the court better, whether you're the one guarding her, whether you're the one playing with her. So just being able to go head to head with the best and learning as much as possible while doing it.
Brady Qualify with SB Nation.
Hey Stephanie, I'm wondering what the transition has been like for you to be jumping straight into a training camp so shortly after the college season ended. This is the time where your whole life you've been starting up off-season mode months away from having to play, and now instead you're jumping into a whole new season. What's that been like for you?
I'm a competitor. I'm always up for a challenge. As soon as the college season ended, I was right back into training, getting ready for this moment because I knew it was going to come pretty quickly. So being a competitor, this is what I live for. This is, a blessing for me to, finish my college season, competing hard with my team, and then coming straight into training camp. Where I'm just here to compete and get better. So it's not really too much of an adjustment. Just we're out here competing every single day, getting better, and this is what I live for.
Aaron Swanson, LA Daily News.
Hey, I wanted to ask you mentioned sort of, what you're learning from all the vets, but I wanted to ask about Nneka in particular. She's such a voice for the whole league. What's your impression of her in your first few days, like as a colleague?
Yeah, I had never met her in person before, so I was, it's a little bit intimidating when you're coming into the gym and you've seen all her games, I watch all of her highlights, I'm a fan of hers, and you come into the gym and she's the sweetest person ever, just extra overly helpful, just helping in any way she can with every single person in the gym. She's almost like having another coach on the court and just able to orchestrate and help the team run smoothly. So that's really my impression of her, just in an extended version of the coaching staff, and just so helpful and sweet with everything she does.
And so she has some authority about her too then?
For sure, she's not that abrasive person where you're gonna feel like she's an authority figure, but everything she says is just helpful. She doesn't speak just to speak, she has purpose in what she says, and she gives really good helpful advice during and after practice and just throughout the whole course of the training camp.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Time for two more today. I'll go to Rafiq Lewis.
This is Rafiq with Nothing But That Sports Talk. How does it feel to be playing alongside Nneka and Ogwumike, along with the new players for the Los Angeles Sparks this season coming up?
I'm playing with the best players in the world, so it's nothing short of a blessing. Just to be able to compete every day with and against them. You just get better whether you're on their spot for something or playing head to head with them. You're learning and you're getting better, and every time we step off the court, they have a little bit of helpful advice. So I just feel like I'm getting so much better every single day, just being alongside greatness.
Last one for Stephanie will go to Rashawn Haylock with KTLA.
Hey Stephanie, what's been a couple things you picked up from Coach Fisher or something he's tried to instill on you in these early part of camp?
I think he's just been helping to improve my overall game. Having a coach that's, the player he was and the coach he is, I feel like I've just been able to absorb so much throughout the course of this camp, whether that's, pushing in transition, working with, getting my shot even better than it is. Just everywhere. He's helped my overall game already in these few amount of days, so I'm just excited for the future, for sure.
Hey, Coach.
Rashawn, how you doing?
What have been your impressions of Stephanie so far, this first part of camp, and some things you're trying to impress on her?
No, Stephanie's been great. She's been, working extremely hard, which, we knew that about her. So she's been putting the time in, showing up early, staying late. Being able to listen and retain information, which is really key for all players, but in particular young players. and I think as we've gotten into, more competitive, activities and drills and challenges, I think you can even see, more of what her potential ultimately could be. She's competitive, tough, fiery, not afraid to mix it up. And, those are important skills to have at this level. So, we've been not really surprised, but, we felt good about what we've seen so far. And, we definitely believe she has a bright future, and that's why we drafted her at number 10.
Sean Vogel, ESPN.
Hey, Coach Fisher. I wonder if I could ask you a little bit of a league-wide question. With the free agency moves, trades, different things, do you feel like going into this season, almost every franchise has, say, one or two questions that everybody's kind of wondering about them, and maybe there's a little bit more sense of, I don't know if uncertainty is the right word, but some interesting questions that almost all the franchise are going to be facing going into this season?
The answer is yes, but from which perspective? Definitely. Questions. Obviously, COVID is still at the forefront of everything that we're doing. So a number of questions there. That I think all teams will continue to try to figure out and manage. But we're going to do the best we can to make sure our players and our staff and the different places and cities where fans will be allowed to be present. We all have to continue to be safe. From a basketball perspective, yes, those questions, and I don't want to imply what it is you mean by questions. Is it from a roster standpoint?
Yeah, from a roster standpoint. There's just some different, obviously there's some people that are in different places, that every even in Seattle, lost some key players, champion. Is that sort of, it seems to me like that's sort of an interesting note about most of the teams going into this season.
Yeah, no, very, very true. When you're in the situation, it feels like you're the only one going through that. And, sometimes when you do read or hear, whether it's comments, feedback, etc., it's like you're the only team that went through significant change. But to your point, there are a number of teams that, lost key or significant all-star level players. And there was a great deal of turnover in the W. And at the end of the day, it's a great thing. I think these women deserve the opportunity to pursue different places, spaces, opportunities, environments. They've had to spend their lives in foreign countries playing basketball for most of the year, and then they get to come back to the United States. And many players have only seen one city in the W. And so I think it's a great thing that more players got an opportunity to change locations, to learn what it's like to be in other places. And our team in particular, yes, a lot of questions about what we ultimately can and will look like. But a number of other teams are going through that as well. And, I feel like, even though on paper, most people feel like Vegas is clearly the best talent, and have the biggest names and a great group of players together, I feel like everybody else is kind of like nobody really knows exactly, what it's going to look like. And that can be a good thing. That I think there's going to be a level of parity that always has existed in the W, but just more of an unknown this year.
Go over to Brady Crocker, SB Nation.
Hey Derek, you kind of talked a lot all offseason about drafting and signing and acquiring players who fit your system, fit what you were trying to do as a coach with this team. I'm wondering, almost a week into training camp, how that's looking, implementing the system with kind of a handcrafted team that's designed to be able to do the things that you want to be able to do on the court. How's that going?
Great. It is going really well. Obviously we're 0-0, so it's easy for me to say that it's going great right now. But, just in terms of, being able to, as coaches, look out on the court, observe, evaluate, assess different situations as we go through practice. Some of the plays that are being made, the finishes at the basket, the speed and athleticism, the change of direction, the pace that people can push the basketball, the height that people can get off the floor. Like it's really exciting to see where we could be. If we can stick together and figure out what the right combination of 12 players will be to give us the best chance to be successful this year. And unfortunately, there are going to be a few players that end up leaving here that are not just capable of being in the WNBA, but that can be good, really good players in the W, and just won't be able to be on the team. And that's kind of a part of the W lifestyle at this time. But it is, to answer the question, it is very exciting to see, how specific players that we targeted in free agency and that we've targeted in the draft are doing the things on the court that we thought would be really beneficial to the style of play, both offensively and defensively. So we're looking forward to getting a chance to start to see some of that in action, this weekend and next weekend.
Take two more, Coach. We'll go to Erica Ayala of The Athletic and Sports Illustrated.
Thank you. Hello, Coach. Good to see you. Hope you're well.
Thanks, Erica. You as well.
Appreciate that. I wanted to ask you about Amanda Zowie B, and if you can maybe break down what you think Zowie will mean for the Sparks. First, thinking about what that acquisition and free agency meant in your role as general manager, and then maybe if you put your coach's hat on and what you think the impact on the court could be.
Yeah, I think first, like as a general manager and thinking about the organizational direction and culture and environment that we're trying to build. Players and women that not just want to be great on the court, but that want to impact the communities they live in, this world that we live in. Amanda is that. And, she has a voice and a presence about her that, it changes the room when she walks in, not just because of how tall she is or the color of her hair, but like she just has a great energy and spirit about her. There's an edge about her. She can be testy and edgy and fiery, but at the same time, she cares a great deal about the things and people that are important to her. And so, from a coach perspective, her size and length and ability to rebound the basketball and challenge shots at the basket, but also offensively space the floor as a big that can shoot the three at a good percentage, but also is comfortable facing the basket. Offensively, being able to move the ball through her. She's a good passer facing the basket. And so, some of the things that we've envisioned doing and will be doing, like we need our bigs to feel comfortable with the basketball in their hands away from the paint, so that we can do the things we want to do and create more opportunity for our perimeter players to attack the paint and touch the paint. So, Amanda checked a lot of boxes for us, and we just feel very fortunate that, after a few discussions in free agency, that she was willing to trust us with this next phase of her career. And so, we're very happy to have her, and, we're looking forward to what she's going to be able to bring for us on and off the court.
Thanks, Erica. We'll end with Chris Camello today.
Hey, Coach, how are you today?
Good, Chris. How are you?
Doing well. Last time we spoke, I talked about creating that sense of competition. I just wanted to see how that was progressing over the last, 4 or 5 days with players competing for spots and whatnot. Obviously, you have to get this roster down to 12. And if you'll indulge me, is there any moment where you kind of, there's like a smile that comes across your face, like, I remember when that was me trying to make a statement? Because, you came into a situation in '96 in your playing career where it was a deep backcourt, Eddie Jones, Kobe, Nick Van Exel. So do you see, Byron Scott, of course. So do you see any sort of similarities where it kind of gets you thinking back to your playing days a little bit?
The first question, like we spend a lot of time in the offseason talking about, as coaches, needing to do a better job of creating a more competitive environment on a daily basis, and making sure that our players can carry that into games night in and night out. And so that was something that we challenged ourselves in, and being better as coaches to create a more competitive environment every day, and still do that in a way where you balance the physical health and workload on players so that they can still perform at a high level, but we have to compete for everything. So we've taken that into every practice plan and every discussion that we've had. But I think when you put the right group together, you don't necessarily always have to create it the same way, right? You don't have to force it as a staff. And I think we've done some things right in terms of the right players being in the gym that aren't forcing us to have to bring the competitive nature into the gym. It's already there. And so it's been fun to see it, kind of play out and manifest itself. And that's where the smile comes across my face. It's not necessarily thinking about what it was like 25 years ago for me, but feeling really good about, the process of turning this roster over and this team over, and that this training camp was a great first step in the right direction. And the players are they're great examples of that. In terms of my basketball experience, that was, at every level that I played basketball, that was my experience. I never once felt comfortable walking into a gym, in that, my spot or my minutes were guaranteed or that I was entitled to them. So that's the way I like to coach, my teams as well. And I think we have a ton of players in the gym this year that all approach it the same way. And that's a fun team to coach. So I'm thankful and I'm enjoying this opportunity every day.
Thanks, Coach, and thanks everyone for joining today.
All right, thanks, gang.